Ooh, shoot. It didn't go.
It's live.
Is it?
Yep.
Can you guys see us?
It says live on the screen. So I guess so.
It told me failed to go live, so I'm trying to get back to the chat. Can you guys see? Yay! Okay, cool. Yeah. But it's not letting me. Okay, all right, so we're just gonna go with this.
Cool.
We are live. All right, guys, I was checking through to see what was going on because it told me it failed. So welcome. Sorry,
hey everyone.
Weird opening. Hello.
One day we'll have a really slick opening that will just be like, hi, we're here, it's working.
We did better this week, guys, getting this on.
Yeah.
Like, we're actually on time, right? We didn't have any. Yeah. So here we are, Nicole Hanchi, Danny Young.
Hey.
Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. Hey, Lay. Hey, Janet. Hey, Kellyanne. I see some new faces. Hey, Karen. Welcome. Hey, Jules. I see a lot of you popping on. Hey, Charmaine. Hey, Danny Young.
Hi there.
How are you? Long time no see. All right. I guess let's get this thing started. You only see me. You don't see Danny?
That's
like
not such a bad thing. Maybe because you've clicked on your square already.
Let me see what happens if I click to you. Can you see Danny now, guys? It looks like some of them can and some can't. Tell me what you see before we only me.
It doesn't matter. We're going to go into the slides anyway. I am here.
Okay, can you hear him? Lay can see you. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing hello, Danny. So let's do this, guys. Can you see the comments though, Danny?
I can.
Okay, you know what? But you can, okay, they can hear you. All right, that's all we need.
That's all we need.
Oh, here we go, here we go. Sharing the slides. And now, guys, you're going to be really, really impressed. Can you see full screen?
We can.
Woohoo! Thank you, Danny Young, for getting us a little bit of help from the support group. Now you should see our slides in full instead of us, you know, kind of rigging that up. So today we are here to talk about the comfortable close, how to close more prospects into your business faster and easier, right? Who is excited?
I am.
I know, I am too. This is my favorite thing to talk about. So let me start, Gavin. So this is just a little refresh from last week. I pulled this in from our discussion last week because remember, guys, this is sort of part 2 of 2 parts about closing people into your business. So why people join the psychology, it's really important to remember this as we move forward to talk more about, you know, a strategy and how to actually, you know, the actions that you need to be taking to do that. You need to understand, you know, the underpinnings. You know, people don't join companies, they join people. They want to work with you, not the company. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'm going to go join a network marketing company, but they might wake up and say, gosh, you know, I think I'm going to talk to Danny today to see what he's got going on. I think I'd really like to work with Danny, right? I mean, doesn't that just make sense?
Absolute sense.
Yeah, it's just good. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with you, Danny Young, right? Of course. So, you know, in my personal philosophy, you cannot convince someone, nor should you try to convince someone to join you. It has to be their decision. Let them make that decision. Of course, you can ask questions that help them arrive at the conclusion that they do want to work with you, but you should never seek to convince, because you want to know that when somebody raises their hand to work with you, that they're doing it because they want to, not because you've convinced them to, right? Like you're sort of dragging them along. And then that just kind of starts you off on the right foot. It starts them off on the right foot. Everyone's feeling secure and, you know, moving forward together. So you want that to be internalized with your prospects. You need it to be their idea. So let go of that urge to convince. That is not your job. Your job is really to just, present the opportunity to work with you and all of the benefits that come along and all that you have to offer, and, let it be their decision. So of course you want to have multiple ways of working with you. You don't just want to have a network marketing company because, that's not going to be a fit for everyone, right? But other things might be affiliate opportunities, toolkit opportunities to, help people with resources, all that kind of stuff. And I'll do a little plug for an upcoming webinar. We're definitely going to be talking about how to effectively build multiple streams of income in your business, which is a huge passion of Danny's. So that's something that we're going to be sharing with you soon. We're really excited to bring that one to you because we want to help you build a sustainable business. You don't want all your eggs in one basket, and you don't want 90% of the people who talk to you telling you no, and then you're leaving that all on the table with no other option, for people to work with you. So make sure that you have that in your offerings, so that, if your MLM, which obviously is the premier way to work with you, if that's not a fit for somebody, but they still want, to, be affiliated with you somehow, you want to have other ways that they can do that, whether, if you want to let them purchase coaching time with you. If you don't want to do that, then you can kind of hook your coaching onto, something else, like I said, a toolkit or a solution. Be discerning, not desperate, guys. This is not you, in desperation looking for anyone and everyone that would be willing to work with you. This is your opportunity to decide who you want to work with. I mean, it's your business, right? If you wanted to work with a bunch of people that you don't like, then you could go back to a job and do that. This is your chance in your own business to work with people who, you resonate with, who have similar goals, who are on the same path. You guys are going, together. So be discerning, guys. This is, get rid of that, release that feeling of desperation that I just got to sign someone into my business, because that kind of dooms you from the start. You want to make sure you got the right people coming in. Like I said, you want to position your MLM as the premier way to get access and to work with you, but you also want to have other options too. And this is all about what you bring to the table. This is not about your products in your MLM. This is not about, whatever else is going on in your business opportunity. It's not about the comp plan. It's not about any of that. That's all kind of ancillary stuff. It is about what you bring to the table. If you're going to sell something to your prospects, sell yourself, right? So you talk to them about the support that you're going to offer. I mean, if you've got a weekly mastermind for your team, most people don't have that. Most people don't do stuff like that for their team. I mean, that's a huge value add, just simple things like that. So this is where you're going to want to share what you can do to help them achieve their income goals, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about, guys. We're here to achieve income goals and to earn money to sustain our family and do more for them in the future. So keep this in mind as we move forward into today's content. Anything to add, Danny, before I click in?
Yeah, I just think where, the middle point there, be discerning, not desperate. I think a big part of that, I recorded a video about this in my group last week. A big part of that is about being busy and being busy with the right activity. So, I know when I first joined the world of network marketing with my first company, I saw something that blew me away, and immediately I thought, because I got the model, I understood it, so I thought, oh, I know a handful of people that are definitely going to want to do this with me. And what happened was, funnily enough, as you will probably all know, those that are experienced will know, that handful of people don't want to do it with you. They think it's weird, they think it's a scam, they think you're insane. And what can happen quite a lot is that people kind of get really disheartened at that point, because they are absolutely not conditioned to be emotionally detached from the outcome, and they can often give up and quit. So that part of being discerning, not desperate, if you're talking to enough people and you're not hanging your hat on that one person that you want to join your business, that can make a massive difference. But no, great stuff. Let's crack on.
Oh my gosh, that is an excellent point that you just made there, detaching yourself emotionally from the outcome. I'm so glad that you just brought that up, and that you just said it, just like that, because that is truly what to really start getting results and making progress with this process. You have to detach yourself from the outcome. Like I described, you're presenting the option, you're presenting, all that they're going to get, and you're answering their questions and you're kind of guiding them. But in the end, you're not convincing, you're not desperate, you're none of that. You're not tied to the outcome. If they don't join you, you're not going to shrivel up and die. Your business is not going to crash into a ball of flames. It just means that that person isn't, now isn't the time for the two of you to work together in that capacity, and you move on, you move forward, you continue with your activities, you continue that business relationship with that person in some other capacity. That's all it means. So don't take this process personally. Don't take the no's personally. I know that it's hard. I know that it can be emotionally brutal. Like if you're just getting started and you're kind of trying to get used to that, and that's not something that you've ever really experienced before, but work toward that. Keep that in mind. Continue to remind yourself that, this is nothing personal. This is truly business, and, detach yourself as best you can emotionally from the outcomes of your conversations and your interactions. So your closing strategy. Hope you guys have out the pen and paper. Let's dig into the good stuff. Most people, and I think we could all agree with this, don't feel comfortable selling. Do you guys, anybody here have an aversion to selling? I think it kind of has a bad connotation, just the word sales. It does for me. I had a huge aversion to the concept of being salesy or having to sell something, or someone looking at me as a salesperson. I don't know if anybody else, kind of resonates with that, but it's something that that I really kind of, I struggled against, and I didn't want that. That wasn't part of who I was. And so I kind of fought against myself. Because I was, oh, I got products, I gotta sell these products, but I don't really want to sell the products, but then how do I sell the products to make the money? You know what I mean? So the most important thing for you to understand is that if what you're doing doesn't feel comfortable to you, you will not get results. You will fight against yourself, just like I said. And so I think what ends up happening is people, so many people, I think, kind of have that same mindset that I did. Oh, I don't like salespeople. When I walk into a store, I cannot stand it when somebody comes up to me and tries to, come up, say hi, greet me, acknowledge me, and then go away. Let me do my thing. Don't bother me. Don't tell me, just leave me alone. I'll ask you if I need help. That's just how I am. So when I put myself on the other side of things, I don't want to be that person that's going up and annoying, you know what I'm saying? And kind of being salesy. So that's why I kind of fought against myself, and I turned and I didn't really get results. What ends up happening, I think more so, is that most people just avoid the activity altogether, right? They just say, you know what, I've got my business going on. Maybe I'll post content, maybe I'll do these specific activities, but I'm not going to sell. And so what they do just kind of stops at a certain point, and they never go into that phase where they're actually making sales and signups into their business. They just hold themselves back entirely. They avoid it because they don't know how to do it and they don't feel comfortable. But what if we're going to talk to you today about a way that does feel comfortable, that doesn't feel salesy, that doesn't feel like you've got the heebie-jeebies when, and that you're not being true to yourself when you do it? I mean, would that be something that you guys would be interested in? I hope you can see the comments.
I can see that. Yeah, we're getting some yeses coming in now.
Yeah, okay, so the good news is that you really don't have to be salesy, and Danny and I are here to prove it to you. We're here to share with you our very, very non-salesy strategy for how we close sales and signups into our own business. Yes, of course, you're still gonna have to get outside your comfort zone. I'm not implying that this is you just kicking back and, drinking a glass of your favorite beverage and it all just happens for you, but it should still feel natural and easy breezy and genuine. It should not be a case of you fighting against yourself and feeling icky, when you're trying to do, get a sale in your business. It should be none of that. Anything to add?
Yeah, Ray makes a really good point in the chat saying, people are constantly selling, and this goes back to what we talked about last week, where, I think what we're alluding to on this slide that we can see now is that, people kind of get to the point where they've got to ask for the decision, and I think that's where the selling bit kind of starts. And, you know, the awkwardness kind of kicks in, when in fact, like we spoke about last week, it happens right at the beginning of the process and throughout the process, and it's a natural engagement. And Ray says, we sell our ideas, we sell to our family, you know, what movie to watch, what to eat for dinner. We are selling even when we don't think we are. And it's just, you know, that's such a really good point. And, you know, I used to be in sales, right? I come from a strong sales background, and I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable asking for the sale, because I used to be under pressure to get a result from the director of the company that I was working for. So I would leave the office to go to see one of our clients, and he would just, you know, the passing comment as you leave is, don't come back without the order. And that just used to put the pressure on. So I'd be asking at the wrong time to try and get a result, because I was under pressure to try and get the result. And what I love about what we do is that you absolutely don't have to feel like that, because we've got this really natural process that it just flows really, really easily. And I know that you're going to share some really good stuff on that now.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I love those comments that you shared, Ray. And that's really the point. What we're trying to help you do with this process is make it so that it feels just as natural as it does to convince your family for what, you know, what you're going to have for dinner tonight, or what movie you're going to see, because that doesn't feel icky. That feels, you know, that's just you, you know, trying to get what you want, right? And, you know, this is going to be pretty much the same feeling in terms of easiness. You're not going to be attached to the outcome. If they say no, you're not going to shrivel up in a corner and die. It's all going to be okay.
And I think,
yeah, go ahead.
I think the other thing as well, Nicole, is that you're not going to actually be perceived as the you know, this kind of concept of sleazy salesperson. That perception from the other side of the table is absolutely not going to be there because of what we're going to teach in this webinar.
Yeah. That is so true. We're going to break through that barrier, that perception. So one of the things, as I mentioned to you earlier, is that you are still going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You are still going to have to do some things that you might feel hesitant to do at first. But I promise you, they will become more comfortable the more that you do them, and you'll actually start to enjoy them. One of the most important things I think that hold people back is an aversion to getting on the phone. And I think a lot of that comes from the fear of the unknown. What's that person gonna say? How am I gonna know what to say? How am I gonna respond when they ask me questions that I don't know the answer to? It's all the unknowns. Does that make sense, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not actually getting on the phone with the person. I mean, you would have no problems calling them up and saying, hey, how are you doing? But it's all of those kind of unknown factors that you can't control that cause you not to get on the phone at all. And that is not good. You have got to get to a point where you can get on the phone with your prospects, even if just for a few minutes. And we're going to show you how that works. We're not talking about long conversations. You're having very short, very focused, very purposeful conversations with your prospects that don't drag on and on forever, that are, you know, you can control them and you can get them done quickly and easily. So, but the first thing that you've got to do for yourself, if you are struggling with this concept of getting on the phone, then you've got to get past that fear. And you have to do it. And yes, you probably aren't going to always nail it every single time. You're going to, I guess, make mistakes, for lack of a better way of saying it. But that's a good thing, because that's going to help you get better and better and better. You're never going to get good at closing your prospects and talking to them properly on the phone if you don't start. So hopefully that encouragement kind of inspires you, you know, to, if you were struggling with this, to kind of break through that and realize, you know, that you're holding yourself back, and we don't want that for you. We want you to, you know, move forward in your business. So we're going to show you exactly how to be successful with this getting on the phone thing. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think, you know, as both of us are, I was going to say students, but, you know, we've been studying the 6-step sponsoring sequence for a long time, and there are different aspects of that you master as you get to, you know, to go along. And I'd say that you and I are probably closer to being masters of that process now than being sort of first-time students. But the one part that it took me the longest to master or to get my head around was getting on the phone with people. But once I started doing it,
yeah,
wow, what a difference it makes. You can build relationships with people in many ways. On, you know, when you're building a business online, you can build them through interacting in a hub like a community on Facebook. You can build relationships through Messenger, but it's not until you actually get on the phone with people and start to speak to them that things really, really do start to happen, because I think that just breaks down so many more of those little barriers that might still be there, where people can hear the tone of your voice. And, you know, like you say, this is just something you need to get over the fear of, but the way that we shape it actually makes it nice and simple as well. And Janet's made a really good point in the chat that I just wanted to bring up as well. Janet says that her words are, I think also letting the customer not feel bad if they say no.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not something that should be part of what any of us do. You know, we should always be respectful of each other and decisions and things that we feel are right or not right for us. Just because somebody isn't interested, for example, in one of your opportunities, doesn't mean they don't like you, doesn't mean they don't want to hang around you, doesn't mean they don't want to do something else with you, either now or in the future.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really great point. Always be respectful of people. And I think that kind of ties in, you know, to the don't try to convince people. Be respectful of, you know, whatever it is that they're thinking and feeling. Yes, of course, you're going to guide the conversation. And when I say guide the conversation, I mean you're going to present the information that they need to make a decision that's best for them. And you're going to answer the questions to the best of your ability, in a way that's truthful and genuine, that helps them and informs their decision making. And that is that's what your goal is. That's what your job is. Not to convince, not to be disrespectful, and not to be emotionally tied, you know, to the outcome.
Yeah, there's just before you go on to the next slide, there's a good analogy again, going back to my sales career. I worked with a junior sales guy that was working on a pretty big project, and he was the client that he wanted to work with decided that they were going to go with a competitor, and he came to me and he said, do you know what, I want to go back to him and tell him that I don't respect his decision and I think he's making a mistake. And I said, no, you don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is just, you know, congratulate him on making a decision and tell him that you want to stay in touch and that you hope it goes well. And he did that, and he stayed in touch. And then I think it was probably about a year later that client then came back to him for something completely different, and he did a big deal with them. And that kind of plays well into what we're talking about now, because people will say no, but that doesn't mean categorically no forever. It just means right now it's not the right time, or it's not the right fit, or something doesn't all slot into place. But that doesn't mean that further down the line that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great example of the importance of staying open to people, and kind of tying in with what Janet was saying, not, you know, getting emotional about when they say no, and kind of closing yourself off from them, because you just don't know what the possibilities are in the future. So you don't cut yourself off, don't burn the bridges. You know, guys, and when you think about it this way, and I'm going to ask you to think about it from kind of two different sides of things. Why in the world would you want to bring someone into your business that you have never spoken to? You know, why in the world would you ever, you know, join someone else's business or start a business with a business partner that you've never spoken to on the phone? You know, you owe it to yourself, if you're, you know, if you're on the side of, you know, considering a new business venture, you owe it to yourself to have a conversation with that person, ask whatever questions you have, and find out what it is that person has to offer you to help you be successful. You know, and conversely, when you're prospecting and having a conversation with a prospect, you owe it to them, you know, to get on the phone, and to yourself, to make sure that it is a fit for both of you and that you're going to be successful together. This is not a sign them and leave them thing. That doesn't help anybody, and it's just not good business practice, and it's just not nice. So so if you think about it in those, you know, nobody is doing business, you know, with people that they've never talked to, generally speaking, in big matters like that. So just get on the phone, do it for yourself, do it for your prospects, and you're actually going to start to enjoy it. I really love getting on the phone, you know, with people and getting to know them and having those conversations. It's just energizing. But I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be a simple slide, but look, we got some good conversation going on there. I love it. So this is what we're talking about here today. This is a two-phased approach This is an easy conversation. There is no hard sell. And to use a phrase that Danny used last week, which I thought was so awesome, we're going to use the 2 ears and 1 mouth approach. What does that mean? Well, hang on and find out. Do you have anything to add before we go in?
No, I like that. I like that. Let's get into it.
Hang on and find out. There we go. Let's do it. All right, guys, phase 1. Here is the good stuff. Write this stuff down, take a screenshot, whatever you've got to do. This is the first conversation. Okay, so think of this in terms of kind of a 2-phased phone conversation. You're going to have a first conversation. It's going to be 5-10 minutes, right? Nothing enormous, nothing scary. You're going to have about a minute of warm up. This is where you say, hey, is the sun out? Is it cold there? How's life? General kind of, you know, schmoozy stuff. Easy, light stuff. Let them kind of talk and help them feel more comfortable with you. After that first minute, you're going to talk to them about their current business strategy, and then you are going to listen. Believe it or not, most of this process is you listening and your prospect talking. It is not the other way around. This should not be you going in with this huge, massive script of all these things that you want to say and all these points you want to make. That is not what this you should be doing in this conversation. This should be you finding out what's going on with them. You want to take notes, right? So that you can identify what they're struggling with and what you can help them with, where they have holes in their business. So you're asking, you're listening, you're taking notes. I always like to, if I think of it, I try to let them know, hey, I'm going to be taking some notes. I'm not typing something else. I am paying attention to you. I just want to write this down so that I know more about your business. So I'm just going to take some notes if that's okay. That way they're not sitting there thinking, well, here clicking on the keyboard, is that person really listening to me? So I always try to let them know beforehand. So this is the point where you listen to them and then you take notes so that you have some key struggles. We're not talking about a slew, but if you identify maybe 1, 2, 3 different things that they're telling you that they're struggling with, that's where you're going to come back and reflect and solve. So you're going to say, so what I hear you saying is you're really struggling to generate leads. Is this right? Okay, all right, awesome. You know what? I have an amazing lead generation process. I'm so excited to share this with you. This is definitely gonna be helpful to you since you are struggling with lead generation. I've got some additional information. Would you be, are you cool to check that out? If so, I can send that over to you now and then give that a look tonight. We can come back together tomorrow. How does that sound? Right? So easy breezy. I just totally made that up on the fly while we're sitting here having this conversation on this webinar. At that point, this is where you're going to point them to more information. This is what's going to do the informing for you. This is why you're not going to feel uncomfortable, because you're not going to be on the phone call having to remember 20 different points that you want to make and share with your prospect. You've already got this prepared and you're just going to send them over to it. Right? So this is something that you are going to have to figure out what you can use. If your team has a sales video, or it's like a sales page that they've set up that you send all your prospects to, that is ideal. I wouldn't send them into a black hole. If you can help it, don't send them into, like a replicated website where they can get lost. Send them directly to a video that you have, that your company provides, or that you have put together with your team that also includes other information about what your team has to offer, because that's going back to that original point. At this point, you want to sell yourself. You want to show beyond what the company is offering, what the products are, and you want to be focusing more into what they're going to get as part of your team. Right? What kind of support they're going to get, what kind of resources they're going to have access to, what kind of environment they're going to be part of, because people want to be part of something. So that's all part of it. If you have that, or if you can put that together with your team, that would be ideal. It doesn't have to be anything, magnificent. It can just be, a page with a couple of videos on it, one of you talking about, you know, what's going on in your team and what kind of things you have to offer as a leader, and the other one can be a video that's provided by your MLM company. It could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but do send them to something where they can get a feel for what it is that they're getting themselves into, because that's really all people want to know. And everybody's got different, you know, we all have different personalities. Some people don't need to see a lot of detail, some people do. But if you put something general together and let that do a lot of the work for you, this is kind of doing the heavy lifting for you. Then when you come back together, and we're going to talk about that in a second, then you can get those kind of granular details going on and get those questions, you know, regardless of whether you have the answer or not, but get them answered for your prospect in the second phase. So do you see how you don't get put on the spot, right? The way that this works, it's not a case of you having this conversation up front here and them, you know, coming to you with a ton of questions that you don't know the answer to. This is you just asking them to talk a little bit about their business strategy, identifying whatever it is that they're struggling the most with, reflect that back to them, and position your, you know, working with you as the solution. You know, how are you going to help them solve that problem as part, you know, as a business partner? And then you're sending them somewhere to let this other, you know, sales page or video do the work for you. You're going to set a follow-up time. You don't want to leave the conversation open-ended. You don't want to say something like, hey, so I'm going to send this to you, you know, take a look at it, sound good? And just let it open-ended, because that's when you're going to start to feel weird. Like, oh my gosh, you know, have I given them enough time to look? Should I follow up? I don't know. What do I say? You keep control of the conversation. You keep control of the process. Do not get off the phone without setting up some kind of follow-up protocol with this person. Whether it's, I'm going to message you in the morning, you know, give this a look today. Tell them it's okay to be a little bossy and firm. Tell them, hey, can you watch this today? Yes, awesome. All right, I'm going to follow up with you in the morning. All right, but let's schedule a time. Are you free at 10? I'll give you a ring then. I'll answer your questions, but be specific with what the next step is. That way, tomorrow morning, you're not feeling weird like, gosh, is it okay for me to message, or is it okay? No, because you've said, hey, you're going to watch this today, right? Awesome. I'm going to follow up with you in the morning. So you are merely doing what you've already said you're going to do. So you want to create urgency and scarcity. You want people to take action now, right? You don't want people thinking that they have, you know, 12 months to go through and watch this video and decide if they want to get back to you or not. You don't have time for that. And you can't, the process kind of starts to degrade when you let it just go on and on and on, and then you're spending time kind of churning in that place of, all right, well, how do I get my arms back around this? How do I kind of reel, you know, my prospect in? No, you keep them, you create a sense of urgency, you let them know that you're going to follow up with them, that whatever, you know, this conversation that you're having, you know, this page is going to be taken down over the weekend, or whatever, you know, you're putting together. Maybe you're just bringing 5 people in to work closely with you this month. That's scarcity. And once you've filled those 5 spots, that's it. You're moving forward, you know, with a small group of people so that you can invest your time with this group. And that's all the capacity you have. Do that. Create that urgency, create that scarcity to make people take action. If they want it, they need to do it now, not 12 months from now. And like I said, keep control of the conversation, and this is how you're doing it. You're setting the next steps, you're setting the expectations, you're not leaving it open-ended, you're creating something that's going to compel them to make the decision, you know, either way, but make it now. Either you're in or you're out. You know, this isn't something that needs to take you 2 months to decide. Now, if now isn't a good time, that's cool. When is a good time? When should I follow up? You know, next month, 2 months from now, what, you know, what, tell me what's going on, but keep control of the conversation. Anything to add?
Yeah, that's brilliantly summarized there. Yeah, I think one of the great ways to keep control of the conversation and to make sure that you steer this conversation the way that you want it to be so that you're in control is to, first of all, make sure that you understand what you have to offer, which can sometimes sound a bit what? You know, like, well, of course I understand that. But especially if you have multiple streams of income, it's worth making a note of the key benefits or the key solutions that you can provide. So what challenges can you address? So, you know, if you've got something that is really good to help people generate leads online, great. If you've got something that helps people to learn how to master different social media platforms, great. But just have in your mind a kind of vision of what it is that you actually have to offer, so that you can then start, when people start to come up with these struggles and identify these holes, you know what you can reflect back with to solve the problem. So it's just really, really important to make sure that you have a good understanding of what it is that you can offer. But that was really well summarized, Nicole. Brilliant.
Yeah, well said. And it's kind of like layers, isn't it, Danny? Like you're layering your offering on top of your business opportunities. So, you know, you're saying, yes, you know, you can join the MLM and you can get, you know, all of this that the company is offering. And then layered on top of that is going to be XYZ, you know, that you're going to, you know, have the benefit of as my business partner. And that's your way of making yourself unique and kind of, you know, being a cut above and giving people a reason to join you as opposed to anybody else in your company that they could join, right? Because that's what it's all about. Kind of setting yourself, you know, up a notch and kind of differentiating yourself and, you know, giving people just a little bit more of a reason, you know, to come with you as opposed to anybody else in that company. All right, we're ready to move on?
There's a question from Lane, which is, it is a good one, actually.
Okay.
How do you regain control quickly when someone else has run away with their opportunity? So I think what Lay's saying is that if you are in conversation with somebody and then suddenly it becomes like, you know, they're actually trying to pitch something to you, how do you regain control of the conversation in that situation?
Yeah, for me, it would be very simple because I would say, you know, we set this call to talk to you more about this opportunity for you working with me. If that's not what we're here to discuss today, then I'm going to move on to the next call. I didn't come to this conversation, you know, to talk about other things. I don't have time. My next call is in 10 minutes, you know, and, you know, do you want to proceed with the conversation we had planned, you know, or not? And if they say, no, that's cool. Don't waste your time. Your time is valuable.
Absolutely.
And just move on to the next call. I don't know if you have anything different that you would do, Danny?
I would do it exactly the same way. I would, you know, that's not the reason why we're having this conversation. We set it up to talk about X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. If that's not your understanding, or, you know, if that's not what you want to do, then, you know, we can conclude then. Yeah, exactly. You know, when you are, you know, talking to our audience on this webinar now, when you're doing these kinds of calls, absolutely be of the mindset that your time is valuable. Let people know at the front of the call that you only have 15 minutes until your next call, or half an hour, however long you want to. I don't allow endless amounts of time for these calls. Mm-hmm. It's good to spend time listening to people, but you want people to recognize that you value your time and theirs. So I like to say in the beginning, look, I've only got 15 minutes, just so that we're clear. I've got 15 minutes until my next call. So I'll be working towards, you know, that time to finish. That's another really good tactic as well.
Yeah, that's really, I'm glad you said that. It's important to set that expectation up front so that people don't feel caught off guard when you do have to end the conversation, because I do recommend that you do this as well. I mean, I literally schedule my calls in 15-minute blocks. The call is meant to be 10 minutes, and then there's 5 minutes, you know, of pad, because you never really know what can happen with different technology problems or phone, you know, connectivities, whatever. So, you know, that conversation is going to end at quarter after, you know, so we need to get through this content. You're going to know pretty early on in the conversation, the way this is set up, if the person is there in a genuine sense, or if they're there with an alternate purpose, you know, so you'll be able to nip that in the bud, you know, pretty much right away. Because, you know, you're going to be asking them here, and if they start talking about, you know, in a pitchy way, then you can just reflect that back and say, okay, so what I'm hearing is, you know, it sounds like you're trying to pitch your business, you're trying to share your business with me in that sense. Is this the case? And then if they say yes, then that's when you go back and say, look, you know, this conversation was, you know, for us to get together and talk about, you know, the opportunity that I mentioned to you before. You know, is that not, you know, if that's not what you're here for, then we're going to terminate the call. And just be, you know, confident that that is the right thing to do. Because if that person's not respecting your time, then that's not somebody you want to work with anyway.
Yeah. And as well as that, I think in my experience, the process that I use where, you know, you will, if you start at the very beginning, you find somebody online, you bring them into your hub, you build a relationship with them, you ask them some questions, you send messages back and forth, and then you get on a call. Normally by the time you've got on that call, if you're following that kind of process, you're not going to come up with that challenge where on the phone someone's trying to pitch you their opportunity. It doesn't happen to me too often, maybe once or twice. I think it happens a lot more for me earlier in the process where you're kind of bouncing messages backwards and forwards and they're trying to pitch you there and then. But, you know, it does happen, and it's a very good idea to be forewarned about, or forearmed, should I say, about what you would do.
And I wouldn't feel bad about being direct at that point, because if that person, you know, I mean, because to me that's disrespectful. If they're coming to you under the guise of, you know, they've been dishonest, if they've come to you under the guise of listening to or being interested in working with you in your opportunity, only to turn around and pitch you their business, that's not respectful. So you don't owe that person anything at that point. You should not feel bad about telling that person that this conversation, you know, in a polite way, of course, in a professional way, that this conversation is terminated. This is over. You know, we're not on the same page. You know, take care. Bye-bye. You know, and
yeah, all the best.
all the best. But yeah, I know some people might feel like, oh my gosh, you know, I don't think I could, you know, I don't think I would feel comfortable saying that. Yeah, you should, because that person has been disrespectful to you. So as professionally, you know, as possible, you just nip that off and move on. Exactly. But yeah, with the process that we have, I mean, that's not ever happened to me, but, you know, I can see where it could possibly, you know, if somebody's willing to go along with that ruse for that long, they're that, you know, desperate to get you in their business, then I guess, hey, be flattered and just, you know, next. Yeah. So, all right, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, so. Awesome. So phase 2, okay, so you've had your initial conversation about 10 minutes long. You've pointed them somewhere, someplace that's going to kind of do the heavy lifting. So yes, you're going to have to put a little bit of prep into that. Like I said, if what you have right now is a video that explains more about, you know, your business opportunity directly, that's cool. Use what you have. You know, start where you are, use what you have. Arthur Ashe, great quote. I believe in that fully. But as you are able to, definitely add on those layers of what you have to offer, so that that's not something you have to share on the phone, that's something that you're pointing them to. So, you know, a video of you on top of, you know, a video that you might have with your business opportunity to share. So you've pointed them there, you set the expectation for when you're coming back together. So you're getting back on the phone for another quick conversation. This is not going to go on forever. You're going to do the same thing, 1 minute warm up, you know, because they're human and you want them to feel like you value their humanness. So you don't want to be like, hey, so did you watch the video? What are your questions? So don't forget to be human and be, be thoughtful. You know, so just have that little conversation, easy breezy in the first minute. And then just, you know, when you will just know when the time is for you to move it into the next phase, and just say, hey, so what'd you like best about what you saw in the videos I sent you? And then stop and let them talk. If you have to cover your mouth physically with your hands, then do that. Or whatever you need to do to get yourself to stop talking, or answer for them, because I've heard a lot of people do that too. They just get nervous and they keep going and they don't let the person talk. They don't let them answer. And in some cases they end up answering for the person. Don't do that to yourself. Let them talk. Remember, this is not a conversation where you're doing the talking. This is where you're doing the listening, right? So what's going to happen most of the time is you're not asking them an open-ended question like, hey, so what did you think? Because immediately when you do something like that, the first thing they're going to go to is something that they had a concern about. The first thing that comes into their mind is not going to be like, oh my gosh, I loved X. No, it's going to be, well, I saw this part about Y and I'm a little confused, or I'm a little concerned. They're going to go to the negative or the concern or the question mark. You don't want to drive them there. You want to keep them thinking in a positive way. You want them focused on what it is that they did like, what it is that did excite them. You know, so you could ask this question a number of ways. You know, what did you like best? Or, hey, you know, what excited you the most about what I sent you? You know, and have that kind of energy and keep the conversation positive. I'm not saying you're trying to keep them from saying anything negative. I'm just saying don't bring that onto yourself, you know? Let it start off in a positive tone, and then they're going to have that positive mindset, right? That's, you're kind of turning that switch in their brain, and you're making them think happy thoughts, right? Rainbows and unicorns. And if what that does is it eliminates a lot of those kind of, you know, superfluous, you know, silly objections that they might have that really aren't a big deal, but that they might say just because they want to have something to talk about. That's what this does. You only want to deal with real serious objections, like deal breaker kind of things. You don't want to deal with nonsensy little things that really don't matter to them, but they're going to talk about them if you ask them anyway. Don't go down that path. So keep it positive. Let them do the talking, and basically let them talk themselves into it, which is what's going to happen most of the time. Yes, you are going to have people who ask questions or have, you know, what we would call an objection or a concern, I think is a better way of putting it. Because at this point, remember, when you're on the phone with somebody, when you have gotten to this point, this person is interested. They've raised their hand somehow. They've expressed interest in working with you. You've got to remember that. So you're not going to have a ton of objections. You may have somebody come back and say, hey, you know, this just doesn't resonate with me. Like that company, it just doesn't do it for me. Okay, cool. That's just not meant to be. That's not how you're meant to work with that person. I don't try to convince them, you know, if the company doesn't resonate, they're never going to make a success of it anyway. Because you really, you know, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to have some, you know, I don't want to say passion necessarily, but some enthusiasm for whatever the products or the solutions are, the services are. So you want to, if there are objections, you want to make sure that you're only dealing with like something that's a deal breaker. Let them ask the questions and answer them as honestly as you can. Again, not your job to convince. Be honest, put it out on the table, tell them what they're going to get and let them decide. You don't want to bamboozle somebody into your business, because then they're going to resent you for that, you know, when they get inside. Or you don't want to tell them they're going to get something that they're not really going to get. You never want to do that. It's just not worth it, right? So handle those objections. If you don't know the answer, it's okay, you know, because remember, guys, their mind is kind of thinking while they're having this conversation with you, and they're thinking, is this something I can do? You know, and if you're there with all the answers, that's fantastic. You know, you can let them know, yeah, I've been around the block a long time. I can answer these questions. But if you don't, that's cool, because then they're thinking, oh, that's good. I don't have to know all the answers either. And you can just offer whatever, you know, whatever solution you might have. Hey, great question. I don't know the answer. Is that a deal breaker, or can we move forward and I can get that answered for you once we get you set up? You know, just kind of figure out how big of a deal that is to them. Because it may just be, no, I'm just asking because I want to know, but yeah, let's move forward, right? But don't cut them off from moving forward just because they have a question or a concern about something, or they want more information about something. If it is something like, yeah, I can't move forward, I got to know this in order to move forward. All right, you know what? That's cool. What other questions do you have? You know, work through those and then say, listen, I'm going to get the answer to this and I'm going to come right back to you, and then you can finish this piece here, right? But again, your job is to just provide the answer. And then once you do that, you know, considering the fact that you're having this and the conversation is going well, you're able to successfully handle any questions or objections right then and there. Then the next thing that you say is, okay, sounds like you're ready to go. Yes, right? So you're turning their mindset back to positive. you're coming into this conversation with the idea that they are ready to come and join you in this business opportunity and work with you. You're not coming into this thinking, I don't know, we'll see. No, you're coming into this with the idea that they're doing this, they're ready to go. You were just merely providing them information. So sounds like you're ready to go, yes? Not, hey, so what do you think? I don't know, you ready maybe, sort of, kinda? Because that doubt, you're planting that seed of kind of doubt and unsureness in their minds too. And you don't want to do that. You want them thinking, I'm excited, yes, I'm ready to go, yes, let's do it, right? So you let them tell you no. You don't guide them toward that. You guide them toward positive responses. And if they really don't feel that way, then they're going to let you know. And that's okay, right? Now you have other options like we just kind of touched on. You know, you can handle objections different ways. You can either get information and come back to them. You can set up a three-way call if you've got, you know, if you've got that set up with someone in your upline or your sponsor where they're willing to do that with you and kind of come together. Three-way calls are really, really powerful because it gives them one more connection. You know, they're kind of coming one more step into your world, into your business, meeting one more person, getting that much more comfortable with the idea, and seeing themselves actually being part of your team. So three-way calls are never a bad thing. They're always a good thing. So never feel like if that's the next step and you don't actually wrap it up here, never feel like this is bad, that this is what happens next. They tend to be, you know, three-way calls tend to be very, very successful in converting people into your business anyway. So again, keep things under control. Don't leave things open-ended. Don't say, so you're ready to go? Yes. And they come back and say, I don't know. You don't say, okay, well, you just let me know, all right? No. You say, okay, well, what's holding you back? You know, get them to talk to you until they've made a decision one way or the other. It's either yes or no. You're in or you're out. Either, you know, you're doing this now with me or you're not. Or, you know, maybe now's not the right time and you're doing it with me a month from now, but you've got to make a decision now. I got to move on. I got other conversations to have, you know, so create that, you know, that kind of urgency. Let them know that this isn't just something, you know, they can come back to you whenever they feel like. So anything to add to that, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, again, you just put that so well. The last part I think is really important. Is about making sure that the other person knows that there is urgency, and what it shows is that you are professional about what you're doing and you don't just leave things open-ended. You know, you want to conclude on this, and you know, it's either yes or it's a no, or it's a no, not now, but it needs to be one of those things, just so that you can, you know, you can move on. And like I say, I think in your prospect's eyes that's going to look very, very professional, because, you know, I've been guilty in the past of kind of just leaving things floating around, and you know, it just doesn't set the right tone for people. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good point.
Yeah, well said, Danny, too. And I think just to kind of draw out a little bit further from what you're saying, I think, again, going back to the fact that they're watching you, you know, they're assessing, you know, the process that you're taking them through, and they're thinking, is this something I can do? You know, and if you just kind of leave it open-ended and they're just out there floundering around, then they're thinking, okay, well, this person really doesn't have solid skills in bringing me into their business, so I don't really know if they're not going to be able to help me do the same for my business. But if you can show them, you know, that you have strategies in place and that you know, this isn't going to be an open-ended thing, that either you are in or you're out, you know, we need to make this decision and move forward whatever way you want to move forward, then they're going to realize, oh my gosh, this person can show me how to do this, how to bring people into my business. So you always have to think, you know, keep that in mind, that they're watching you and they're assessing you and they're thinking about it in terms of applicability in their own business and what you can, you know, what you can show them, you know, to do for their own business. So, all right, let's bring this home. I know we're almost out of time here, right?
We are.
So these are just a few closing strategies that Danny and I just kind of put pen to paper on, these different things that we use that you can leverage to, and we've talked about them throughout the presentation today, but you need to leverage your assets. Like we said before, you know, this is, you're layering yourself on you know, on top of, you know, the business opportunity, the MLM or whatever it is that you have kind of running behind the scenes. So it's all about you, what they're going to get, what kind of experience they're going to have working with you. What kind of coaching do you have? Weekly masterminds for them? Do you create tutorial videos? What kind of training can you provide? What resources can you share? All that kind of stuff. And as we said before, you've got to create that scarcity, the exclusivity, the urgency in the conversation, so that they understand that this is serious business. You're a professional. You're working a business. You've got a process down. They're interested. You're spending your valuable time with them, but there is a limit to that, and they either need to decide to come in with you or not to come in with you. And these are your methods for doing that. The scarcity, the exclusivity, and the urgency. You need to give time frames. You need to let them know that, whatever you've got in place, I'm recruiting 5 new people for my team. We're moving forward on Sunday. Either you're in with us or you're not. So let me know now. And if you want the spot, take it. If you don't, cool. I've got 20 other people that I'm going to talk to, when I hang up with you. So that's just good business. And that's just you setting the expectation and letting them know and giving them that so that they can make the decision. Because, it's not about putting pressure on people. People don't need a month to decide if they want to do this with you or not. They already know. It's just a matter of kind of encouraging them to make that decision now. So you're not, by doing this, you're not pushing someone into doing something they don't want to do. You're encouraging them to take the action they want to take and take it now, whether it's to join you or not to join you, so that you can move forward, whether it's move forward in getting them set up in your business or move forward, to someone else. Anything to add, Danny?
No, I think you've done that brilliantly again. I think, the one thing with scarcity is that people don't like to miss out and think that someone else is going to get something that they want. So it's a great way to get the decision from somebody. Yeah.
And we're not telling you to make stuff up, guys. I mean, honestly, how many people could you really support at once? If you were to recruit a group of people into your business tomorrow, could you really support 20 people? No. You could not support 20 new people, but maybe you could support 5, maybe 10, depending on what the infrastructure that you have set up. So we're not telling you to make stuff up. We're telling you to actually, work your business this way, where you bring people in small groups at defined periods of time. It's really powerful when you do it that way, when you're not doing like dribs and drabs here and there kind of thing. All right. So do you want to take this on, Danny? I know I've done a lot of talking. It's up to you.
Well, this is new. This is a new slide. I've not seen this before.
Do you want me to do it then?
Go for it.
Yeah. So, huh?
You've done a great job. Carry on.
Are you sure now?
I'm positive.
I'm sure they're sick of listening to my voice at this point. We try to keep a nice balance so you get his fancy accent and my not fancy accent. Just so that you get a little bit of excitement in there. But sorry, guys, I guess you get more of me today. So today we talked about closing. Last week we talked about closing as well. So a lot of content has been shared over the past couple of weeks. We want you to go take action on this, guys, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the surface of, all that we know in terms of closing people into your business. If you are looking for advanced closing strategies and, real kind of hand-holding and one-to-one assistance for bringing people into your business and monetizing your prospects, then listen up, because we can help you with even more. Yes, I know this has been awesome. I know it's probably blowing your mind that we can actually offer you more than we already have. But I know my mind is blown right now, but no, I'm just joking. But yes, we can. So our personal high converting scripts dissected for you, our sell or sponsor strategy that monetizes 90% of your calls. Yes, it's true. Our personal methods for creating scarcity and urgency that will make it a no-brainer for your prospects to say yes to working with you. We talked a lot about that today and the importance of doing it. If you don't know how to do it, let us know. We can show you how. Our famous trust triangle strategy to break down resistance and break through objections with ease. weekly group coaching with priority access to both Danny and myself, and so much more. Like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want this, if you want more help making money in your business, then please reach out to the person who invited you today, or leave a comment in the chat box, you know, to let us know, to raise your hand for help, and we can talk to you more about how you can access these strategies with Danny and myself. Did I miss anything?
No, again, nailed it. You've been on fire this evening, Nicole.
Well, that is a miracle. I was telling Danny this morning when I said this was the first time I have sat down at my desk in a whole week because of the hurricane. And yeah, so I was not sure that I was going to rock it, but what do you guys think? Did you enjoy that?
Just like a pro. It was brilliant. Well done. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. As always, it's always great to see so many people on these webinars that we do every single Tuesday. We've probably got some time for a couple of questions if anybody has any. Pop them into the chat now, and we can get those answered. But Nicole, that was great stuff.
Awesome. Hey, are you guys cool? I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. I'm thinking you guys are good. We are so grateful that you guys came and hung out with us today. Thank you so much for attending. How do I come back? Hold on, I'm trying to come back.
There you are.
Am I back? Aww. Hi, guys. Don't be, yeah, Ray, I wouldn't dream of bamboozling you. Isn't that a great word? I just wanted to say bamboozle. Just wanted to sneak it in. Any questions? Or did I miss questions?
No, I've kept up with the questions
okay, cool.
As we've gone
awesome.
through.
Did you guys have a good time? All right. I'm not seeing any questions. So Danny, should we give them a sneak peek about next week? Or do we want to keep it a secret? Ray wants to know, how do we get so awesome?
We've been following you for a while, Ray.
Yes, Ray, that's why, because we hang out with you. That was a good response. I love it. I don't know. Do you think we should tell? Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Lay. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Janet. Should we tell them, or should we just make them wait to find out?
Let's give them a little sneak preview.
Yes.
Why not?
You tell them.
Well, we figured that with it being this time of year and all, it would be a good idea to, oh, hang on, Ray's saying make them wait.
He's so mean. I love it.
Controversial, that guy.
Love it.
What we thought we'd do is we would give you some really, really cool tips on how you can finish the year strong. But not, I've been talking about this in my own community for the last couple of weeks as we've approached the end of, you know, the final quarter of the year. And not only can you finish the year strong, but it's going to really, really set you up to have a stellar start to 2017. And if you can start a year on a high with momentum behind you in full flight, then you're going to have a very, very good time. So we're going to give you some cool tips and techniques and strategies on how you can finish the year strong next week.
I know, I'm excited. Yes, an early Halloween treat. All right, Karen, yeah, check with Lay. Send her a PM when we finish, and she'll be able to tell you how you can get access. Is there a way of seeing previous webinars? Kellyanne is asking, welcome, this is your first time. Oh my gosh, so excited to have you. Yes, you can see previous webinars. Get back to the person who invited you, and they will be able to share the replays with you. Good, I'm so glad you're excited, Charmaine. That makes me happy.
For Halloween next week. I'm not dressing up for Halloween next week, it's too early.
Oh, that would, yeah, you were gonna do that? Oh. No. Charmaine, I saw your charred bagel on, that was disgusting looking. She has like a picture on her Facebook of a bagel that's like a cinder because she caught it on fire. Ray's excited because Charmaine's excited. It's like a ripple effect of excitement. I love it. I don't know what we would do about this. Yeah, go, Ray, go check on Charmaine's personal profile. It's pretty nasty looking. She is not, don't eat the food she cooks. That's all I have to say. All right, guys. Thanks again for hanging out. We appreciate you so very much. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week, right, Danny?
We sure are. We'll see you then.
Don't go too far, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. And for our special friends, we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time for our special weekly session. If you want access to our special weekly session, just ask. Oh, there, Ray's getting all Frenchy on us now. Wee wee. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
See you later.
Take care. All right. There is no button for me to turn this off. Well, this is interesting. What is happening here? Well, I guess I'll do it the old-fashioned way.
Close it down.
Close it down. Hold on, guys.